The township of Lowanna is a hidden gem, just 40 minutes drive from Coffs Harbour. Lowanna is an historic alpine town nestled in the mountain ranges just to the west of Coffs Harbour. Visitors to the area are taken by the beauty of the plateau and depth of forests, which includes magnificent stands of coastal blackbutt and deep subtropical rainforest hidden in mountain valleys. Friendly locals are always happy to talk to visitors and share their stories from the past, but the real attraction to the area is the historic mountain railway which runs through Lowanna. The historic mountain railway links the township of Glenray in the north to the township of Dorrigo in the south. Work commenced on the construction of the Glenray to Dorrigo railway in 1914. The line was finally opened in 1924 after dealing with many challenging construction issues which were related to the mountainous countryside. Lowanna Railway Station is a beautiful example of a traditional railway heritage building. This station was used for many years until the cost of repairing and maintaining the railway line was no longer sustainable. Passenger services stopped in 1957 and goods and services in 1972. These days, the section of line and associated infrastructure from Yulong to Glenray is managed by Glenray Mountain Railway. This group has a responsibility to the community for the care, control and management of the railway line and are constantly looking to improve community involvement.
G'day, my name's Stuart Mackey. I'm the current president of the Glenray Mountain Railway Incorporated. We're located on the north coast of New South Wales, halfway between Coffs Harbour and Grafton, in a small town called Glenray. We've got 35 kilometres of privately owned track between the town of Glenray and the town of Lowanna, which is in the mountains, sort of the tablelands towards Dorrigo and Armadale. In that corridor of track we've got about 1,200 acres of country which is under our control, which at the moment we're looking at various options to try and utilise that the best. We've got at the very southern end, we've got 5 kilometres of track at the moment which is opened up. Some of it's certified for limited rail operations. At the eastern end, the bottom end of it at the Glenray Township, we've got about 2.5 k's of track which we can utilise for light rail operations at the moment. Our biggest problem, we've got bridges washed out. There's some subsidences past 2 tunnels which are in the corridor as well, which are quite spectacular. And there's 3 or 4 other major bridges. So what the plan is moving forward to involve other stakeholders in the area like Rotary and Council and get them involved in the group in assisting in management, assisting in collection of grants and grant submissions, and to try and get these areas opened up into various interest groups in the centre portion of it, between the basically defunct bridges to either cycle paths or walking trails, bird watching, camping.
Glenray Mountain Railway volunteers have been working hard to repair sections of the line. This will allow small motorised railway trikes to run through the beautiful alpine forested country near the historic town of Lowanna. Members operate the trikes only after the completion of strict competency-based training, and regular medicals are undertaken to ensure operators are fit to operate the trikes. Most of the line is in a state of disrepair due to the lack of funding. However, short sections of track have already been cleared and are accessible at both Lowanna and Glenray.
We've just ratified a 5-year plan that's gone through the board and been accepted to, in the next 5 years, to gradually increase the certified rail lengths that we do have, and realise some of the assets that we do have within our auspice as the GMR. We feel it's our obligation or our duty as the board to open up this community asset which has got colossal potential for employment, for tourist involvement with it, training operations as well, because what training we can provide is nationally recognised through the railway regulator, which is a nationally accepted and accredited management system. Beautiful sub.
The mountain railway provides much more than a fantastic trike ride through alpine country. Sections of moist forest and subtropical rainforest can be seen along the entire line. These forest remnants are magnificent examples of biodiversity that people need to see for themselves. The complexity of plant species is remarkably diverse and range from common plants through to remnant species dating back to the age of Gondwana, 180 million years ago. There is an amazing mix of buttress-stemmed trees covered in epiphytes and vines. On the forest floor, there is a range of ferns and herbs. Forested sections of the Lowanna railway line have some excellent examples of giant moss, which is the tallest growing moss in the world. Glenray Mountain Railway members enjoy the great outdoor trike rides through tall forests, which provide a tranquil setting and a very enjoyable wilderness experience. Railway track maintenance is a specialised activity requiring specific skills and experience. Only fully trained and experienced volunteer workers can repair the tracks. However, volunteers can also assist with vegetation management and logistical support, so there is always something for everyone to get involved with. The camaraderie and peer support is great, and our regular barbecues are a great way for the organisation to give back to our dedicated volunteer members. Working your way along the Lowanna railway line, you will come across some very impressive historic cultural features, such as one of 3 bridges that cross Moulton Creek. This timber trestle bridge is a fantastic example of the past, being constructed nearly 100 years ago. It still stands as a great reminder of the pioneering skills and hardship that was endured to complete the railway through the very remote and challenging countryside. This bridge can only be accessed via walking tracks and guided tours arranged with the Glenray Mountain Railway. Plans are currently underway to provide regular guided walks and stayovers at sites to enhance visitor experiences and access to these remote heritage areas.
It's a young jackwood, another one of the rainforest community species. It's called Cryptocarya glaucescens. Glaucus again is just the whitish colour underneath the leaves. You see them like that. Belongs to the laurel family, and if you put a hand lens on it, you'll find it's full of oil, just like a eucalyptus leaf. You crush them up and they're very, very strong. This is one of our native cordyline, just like you get from the nursery, called cordyline strychna. That's the old flower shoot there. They normally come out with a dark blue berry on them. A very attractive plant. And this on the ground here behind us is what they call giant moss, and it's the tallest moss in the world. And we can just start to see the flower heads here on top of them, top of the moss. You can see them there. When they open up, they've got white flowers. They're quite unique. And
where do these grow, Ross? Where will you find this mostly?
Anywhere above this particular altitude. Once you get into alpine country, in a moist forest, particularly a rainforest, you'll start to find them. We find them up in Antarctic beech forests and subtropical forests, and the whole range of forests you'll find them about. They're not, you wouldn't consider them to be rare, but a lot of people may not sort of recognise them when they see them.
Yep.
One of the many tree ferns you see along the track. It's Cyathea australis, after Australia. There's only 2 species in this area. One is australis and the other one's like hearty eye. which is a different form of typhoon. It's a very prickly one. Like all typical rainforests, there's a lot of vines or lianas. You see them through the bush, all hanging down from the trees. There's 2 species in this area. And this one here is just one of them. It's called Cissus hyperglauca. And hyperglauca because of the grey underneath the leaves. The other one is Cissus antarctica. And it's just a simple leaf, where these ones are compound. You can see how the leaves, that's the stem back there, but the leaves that come out here is what's called a compound leaf. And the difference is that Antarctica is a simple leaf, just a leaf on its own, whereas these ones, hyperglauca is a compound leaf of 5. And just down through the back of the bush there's what we call a prickly ash. Scientifically known as Varieties excelsior. Excelsior is a Latin word which means tall or great. And that was one of the timbers that was used in the early parts. And when we were manufacturing plywood back in the days during World War II, the other one we talked about was the coachwood, and the coachwood was the tree that had the good gluing properties for marine ply, and that's where all of our World War II rifle butts came from, was coachwood. Coachwood was used in the manufacture of trains in the carriages, because it was one of very few timbers that wouldn't squeak when the carriage was in motion, and became a very important rainforest species because it had really unique gluing properties for marine ply. Not every timber you can glue up to that particular standard. Coachwood you could.
Okay.
So you've got some interesting vines also up at Lowanna. This small one down here is called Herbaceous scandens. Scandens is just a Latin word for climbing. It has a beautiful yellow flower on it. We often see it on the forest floor. This one here is what they call Piptocalax morii, which is another rainforest vine, but this one's related to the sassafras family. So if in fact you tear a bit of leaf and you smell it, it just smells like sassafras. This one on the back of us here is one of the raspberry family. This is one of the rubus ones. It gets a nice red fruit on it, quite edible and quite nice to eat.
Frost, it just goes to show you really don't need to go very far in a forest like this to see so many variations of plants.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to know what species composition's in here, but it'd probably be in the order to 80 to 100 different plant species just in this area here. It's very complex in terms of just a normal forest. And most of this area is quite visible from the GMR track. You're riding through on the trikes. You can see it all, including all the tree ferns around you. The mixed hardwoods. This area is what we'd call a moist forest. It's not exactly a rainforest. Rainforests would be dominant with bungalow palms and a whole range of figs and another number of other species as well. So, but in terms of a moist forest, it's absolutely spectacular, and you can see the whole thing along the track.
Here's one of 3 bridges that's near the village of Moulton, where you'll be able to see up close the work that went into constructing these trestles. However, you will be unable to walk across the bridges because of safety reasons, but there'll be tracks leading you down over the beautiful clear streams that flow under the bridge, which will make ideal resting and camping spots as you travel along this rail track that was constructed 100 years ago.